Good evening, everybody. What? I have to turn up the volume. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Triangle Area SQL Server User Groups, Artificial Intelligence, Business Intelligence, Data Warehousing, and Power BI, and everything else kind of meeting. So we are near the end of the month, and we have the pleasure of Dennis Torres talking to us from Malta, where it is currently just after 11 p.m., if I've got my time math correct. He's going to talk to us about Azure SQL and vector support in the Azure SQL product. So before we go live, before I switch over to Dennis, I do have one quick announcement to make, and that is SQL Saturday Raleigh is coming up soon. That'll be May 17th. Saturday, May 17th. It'll be in Durham. The call for speakers is still open, so you can check that out at SQLSaturday.com. You can check out the call for speakers, submit for your sessions, and also sign up for the event itself, as well as a pre-con on Friday the 16th that Brent Ozar is hosting. So you can check all that stuff out at SQLSaturday.com. With that advertisement out of the way, I now want to hand over the reins to Dennis to talk to us a bit about vector database support. So please, Dennis, take it away.
Thank you, Kevin. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending this session. Let's talk about Azure SQL and vector support. This is a great new feature in Azure SQL. Let's see how we can use this feature and what is this exactly. This is me. I live in Malta, have some Microsoft certifications, and I'm the user group leader in Malta. And you can see my contacts on the right side of the screen. It will be a pleasure to stay in touch. If you would like, follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube. It will be a pleasure to stay in touch. So, the great news, Azure SQL supports vector data type and vector search functions. This is a great new feature. But I will start from the very beginning. I hope I'm not being redundant, but I will start from the very beginning, explain what's vector and what's a vector search, why is this important. So, vector search. Vector search is a mathematical capability which is used in AI architectures. So, I'm not telling much on this definition. Let's go further. Let's see an example of RAG architecture. RAG architecture is an architecture that we use to feed some models, chatbots. I'm explaining in a very simple way. Feed some chatbots with information from our own company. We may have a repository of documents, for example, PDFs, and we can feed these documents to a model using RAG architecture. This is a very simplified explanation. Then let's see how vector search fits inside an AI chat solution. And then once we see how vector search fits in this example, will better understand the importance of this feature. Let's see an example of the RAG architecture, Retrieval Augmented Architecture. So, we use the Azure OpenAI service to implement this architecture. A lot of people think, oh, OpenAI service is a model in Azure. Not only a model. The OpenAI service can contain a model, but it can execute many tasks according to what we request. So, in a RAG architecture, let's say the first step with the architecture already running, the user will make a question to the Azure OpenAI. This question will arrive to Azure OpenAI in an element. I'm calling here this element coordinator. There is no documentation, no specific name for this element. That's it. It's arriving a coordinator. Then what will happen? Azure OpenAI will create vectors for the question. Vectors is a name that we use in math. In math, we use numeric vectors. But In AI, these vectors can be used to represent the meaning of some content, the meaning of some words, the meaning of some content. In this case, in the AI environment, we also call them as embeddings. So in AI, calling as vector or embedding has the same meaning. So this coordinator, which I mentioned before, will use one model inside the Azure OpenAI service. It will use a model to create embeddings, to create an embedding for the user question. So before anything is processed, the user question is transformed in a vector, a numeric vector. Then, after this transformation in vector, the Azure OpenAI uses the embeddings to search the related documents. So, one very common source that we use for this retrieval is the AI search. So, it gets the vector and goes to the AI search and search for this vector. Search for the vector in document? No, we need to have the vector for each document. Each document is stored in AI search needs to have its vector for this search to work. We are making a mathematical search. We are searching vectors and trying to retrieve the documents that are closest in meaning to the question the user made. Then, after retrieving these documents, the Azure OpenAI will build a prompt using the located documents. This raises a lot of interesting points. A lot of people ignore this detail. A lot of people think, oh, we get a bunch of PDFs, we get 10,000 PDFs there, we point a model to those PDFs and the model will answer questions from those PDFs. Well, this is the end result, but it is not the model that is answering the question. For this to happen, we need to be using the vector search. The vector search locates the documents which are most closely related to the question. And only pieces of these documents are provided in a prompt to the model. So the model itself never looks to the entire content the company has. It looks to a content which is given to the model after a search process. So the good result of the model depends a lot of the capability of this search process. The better the search process is to find the best related documents, the better the model will answer the question. So Azure OpenAI sends the prompt to the GPT model and receives the answer and delivers the answer to the user. So the last steps. Uh, the user question was transformed in embeddings using the embedding model. We made a search for the vector inside the AI search, located the related documents, and sent the related documents to the GPT model. The GPT model never looks to the entire content of data. It looks to the result of the search process. And this highlights what I was talking in the beginning. Azure OpenAI service in Azure is much more than only a model. All this coordination is being made by the Azure OpenAI service and calling other services to help in the process. Okay, the model is that. So, assuming what is embedding? Embedding is a specific type of vector. Vector is a name used in math, and embedding we use in AI is a vector that represents the meaning of a specific content. It can be used for natural language processing and search. Vector and embedding are synonymous in the AI context. A very simplistic example. It's illustrating some vectors generated for single words, for example, queen, king, woman, man. So the point is how close each word is in relation to meaning to the other words. Mind that woman is close to queen. Zero point 0.3 is the same, is close to queen. While man 0.5 is close to king. So we have this relation between these words, between the meaning of these words. At the same time, woman and man are close to each other. Then man to king or man to queen and so on. Woman and man are closest to each other. Queen and king are closest to each other. So once we translate the content that we have in mathematical vectors, we can make math calculations to compare the distance of this content. That's when we locate related content. We just mentioned the RAG architecture in relation to the AI. Let me highlight some RAG limitations. One limitation became very visible in my explanation in relation to this architecture. The model never sees the entire content. The model never sees the entire content. The model sees the result of a document search, not the entire content. So, and it's limited by the prompt size. We can't give all documents related to a specific subject. We need to give the best ones. So it's limited by prompt size. In this way, it lacks database level precision. When a model makes an answer based on 10,000 PDFs, we can't be sure that the information is all the information available about that. Example, I had situation where some customers would like the model to answer questions like, could you list the orders from customer XPTO? Could you list the sales from John? Could you list the bicycles orders? This requires a database level precision that you, with the RAG architecture, will not reach this kind of precision. So we don't have database level precision in RAG. So when we start involving a database in RAG, we may find solutions for that. I will not fully propose one, but I'm mentioning this is a one direction to find solutions for that. And we have the vector search in relational database. So what I said that OpenAI makes using AI search, now we can have inside a relational database. Some possibilities. We can use this as part of the RAG architecture. Instead of using AI search, we can use the search inside Azure SQL, for example, and then give the result ready for the model. A different method to implement RAG. A different method to implement RAG. Workaround for database precision answers maybe you may reach a specific solution that could be a workaround for database precision answers. And from the database level is an advanced text search. Is a text search in a way that we never had before. The full text search feature in SQL Server, for example, never reached this level of search. Is like a natural language text search. For example, I'm looking to buy a comfy red sofa. If I'm looking only for text results, maybe I find the first two. But if I'm looking for vectors, I can find the four which are below. The two below may not have a specific text related to the question, but they have a meaning related to the question. And we can find inside database information according to the meaning by using vector search. And let's see how it works, how the vector search works in Azure SQL. What are exactly the main features that we're talking about? We're telling that vector search arrived in Azure SQL. What exactly arrived in Azure SQL? We have a vector data type. Vector data type. This means that we can create fields of type vector. We can, in a table, put a field and the type of that field is vector. And we have vector distance function. It's not the only one. There are more functions. But one of the most used would be vector distance. By using the function vector distance, we can search the distance between two vectors. We can discover the distance between two vectors. In this way, discover if they are close or far from each other in relation to the meaning. So, we have the vector data type and the vector distance function, but there is a lot more that we will need. For example, imagine that I add a vector field in a table. I have a table of products and I add a vector field in the table. So I will need to prepare this table for vector search. What it means, prepare this table for vector search? A table of products may have the product name, product description, model, and so on. So prepare this table for the search means that besides adding the vector field, when I add the vector field is empty. I need to generate the embedding for each one of the records. I need to make the embedding generation for the records. So, yes, generate embeddings for the records. We need to do that. Then, after generating the embeddings for the records, we will receive a user question. That's when the user starts using our system. We'll receive a user question. Then we need also to generate the embeddings for this natural language question, this user question. So I have a table with a vector column with the embeddings for each product. And I receive a question from a user. What can I do? I can use the vector distance function to calculate which products are closest to the meaning of the question that the user made. And in this way, locate the records closest to the meaning. In this case, we are making a search in the database by the meaning of the information. So then execute the search, make the vector search using the embedding from the user question and the embedding in the fields on the table. After executing this vector search, I have the results. I have a set of records which are close to the meaning that the user were looking for. The point is, do I want to stop at this point or do I want to proceed? What it means proceed? If I want to proceed, I can get the records which I found and transform these records in a prompt for a GPT model. I can transform these records in a prompt for the GPT model and ask a GPT model to prepare a more natural language answer for my user. Is this absolutely needed? It depends on your solution. You need to decide in your solution if you want to do that or not. Because using the vector search, you located the product. Then you decide if you pass this product through a GPT model to analyze this result or not. This last part is optional. Then if you build a prompt for a natural language processing question, then you execute the question. You send the question to GPT model to get a natural language answer. The point is, these two last steps are optional and is part of the architecture that you decide to build. You can include them or not. You can work just with the vector search result, or you can get the vector search result and send to a GPT model to get an additional answer. And another secret involving all these additional steps is the stop procedure called SP invoke external REST endpoint. This stop procedure was created some months before the vector search feature, or many months before the vector search feature. What this procedure does? This procedure allows Azure SQL to make a call to an external API. So from inside Azure SQL, we can make external calls. And the models, the models to generate embeddings and the models to the GPT models to answer our questions, they answer to APIs. They have APIs. I can call their APIs. In this case, I can use this procedure to call the model. So it allows external API calls from T-SQL. Requires a credential object. For example, I will not leave my OpenAI service, Azure OpenAI service, open to everyone. There is a key, authentication key to my Azure OpenAI service. So I need to store the authentication key of the Azure OpenAI service in a credential object inside my database. Then I can call the Azure OpenAI service. I can call for embeddings. I need to generate the embeddings for both for the data that is in my database and for the natural language questions that will arrive in the natural language questions that the users will make. So I need to generate embeddings for both. And as an additional feature which we can choose when to include in our architectures or not, are the calls to GPT. I can make additional calls to GPT, or I can choose to not make these calls. This function only calls Azure URLs, only calls services located inside Azure. So if you're thinking about calling something outside Azure, this function can't do that. This function can't call a service outside Azure. But there is a workaround. If you want to call something outside Azure, you can use an APIN server. You can provision an APIN inside Azure, get the address of your external API, and hash the address of your external API in the APIN. The APIN will be a bridge to the external API. In this case, this procedure can call the APIN because the APIN is on Azure and the APIN works as a bridge to the external APIs. This still keeps the environment safe. So, creating the vector field. My example table is a table of products from Walmart. So to create a vector field, you just add the field to the table. Add product description vector, vector 1536. Okay. And the size, why 1536? because the size depends on the embedding algorithm we will use. We need to know which embedding algorithm we will use, and we need to define the size of the field according to embedding algorithm. Maximum field size 1998. Some examples. Algorithm text embedding ADA002 works 1536. There are other algorithms which work, BERT, MinLM, but some better algorithms like text embedding Swilash don't work because it returns a vector of 3072. It doesn't fit in the field. It goes beyond the maximum size of the field. Is there a solution for that? There is a workaround for that. When you call the embedding model, you can specify the size of the vector that you want the embedding model to generate. So you can call a most updated embedding model and ask this most updated embedding model to generate a smaller vector size of 1990 or 1995, for example. So you ask this better embedding model to generate a smaller vector size. Uh, a better embedding model generating smaller vector size is still better than older models, according to many tests that have been done. The credential, create database scoped credential. The name is a detail. I'm putting the name of with the URL of my OpenAI service in Azure, but this is a detail. It's not required. With identity, the identity is important. This is an important name for the identity. HTTP endpoint headers. With this name for the identity, I'm pointing that I want this content of this credential to go in the header of an HTTP call. So this content will be included in the header of an HTTP call. Then the secret becomes a JSON that I will build using my API key from Azure OpenAI. So I build the secret with the JSON from my with the API key. I'm sorry for the sound. So we'll build a secret, a JSON with the secret for my Azure OpenAI and add in the credential. Then get embedding store procedure. Let's remember what I mentioned before. I mentioned before that we need to get the embeddings for every record in our table. Every record in our table need to get embeddings and save in the field. And then every time we receive a question from the user, we need to get the embedding. The process to get embedding is not that simple. So it's better if we create a store procedure to do that. So let's analyze this store procedure step by step. So the core of a store procedure is calling invoke external REST endpoint, the store procedure to call the API. Then it passed the URL, and the URL is being built some rows above and with a specific format used by the OpenAI service to call a model. In this case, I put in the middle of the URL the deployment name of the model. When we use the Azure OpenAI, when we use the Azure OpenAI service, we create deployments inside the OpenAI service. So I need to have deployments inside the service. Let me show an example. Um, explore. So here I can take a look on the deployments. So I can create deployments inside my OpenAI apps, and I can make calls to these deployments. Then the payload, what is the payload exactly? The payload in this case is the content for which I want to generate the question. The content I want to use to generate the question is a parameter of the procedure. And I use a JSON function, JSON object to transform this in a JSON content as the payload, and I send this payload. You can also see the credential there, the JSON content being built, the parameter, and then I retrieve the content. According to the API that we are calling, we need to understand the response of the API to extract the content from the response of the API. While building this example, I had to make many tests showing the result and then analyzing the exact JSON query that I would to make to extract the embedding from the content. And the result is receives a cast as vector 1536 and is returned in the an output variable. Okay. Then I said that I need to build the embeddings for all the records. I will not execute this. Takes a lot to execute, but you can see an example about how it's done. It needs to be done record by record. So and there are 30,000 records in this table, and then, sorry, and then it called the get embedding stop procedure. For each record, it's called the get embedding stop procedure. It retrieved the text. The text for each record is the product name and the product description in this example. Then use this text to call the get embedding, get the embedding value, and makes an update on the table, makes an update on the product description vector. In this example, this piece of code would loop through my table and get the embedding value for each record in my table. There is a further concern about how to keep this embedding value updated. If someone updates the product name or the product description, you need to regenerate the embedding. So you may need some kind of trigger, some kind of identification that a change happened to regenerate the embedding. Then, the actual search. Make a search for a product. So, what am I searching? The question from the user. Help me plan a high school graduation party. So, plan a high school graduation party. So, this is in a string. We have a vector, return. Then we call get embedding. Get embedding to generate the embedding for the question of the user. We are generating the embedding for the question. Then we make a select. In this select, we use the vector distance function. The vector distance function will analyze the distance between the vector from the user question and the vector which is stored in my table in each record. Okay, The result of the vector distance function is a number which tells me how close one is from each other. How this result has a meaning. This result has a meaning since I use the top 10, I'm getting the top 10 records ordered by distance in order ascending. So I'm getting the top 10 products which have the closest meaning to the question made by the user using the vector distance function. So here highlighting these points, the get embedding the vector distance function. Let's see this working. So I have here an Azure SQL. Um, I have a sequence of files here. You can see on the files exactly what I already illustrated before on the PowerPoint, like an alter table to create the product description vector, the create credential, which is needed for to make the API calls, get embedding procedure. Here the procedure is being created, get embedding. I already created the procedure, building the embedding for the records. We saw this on the slides as well. The code to run over the records and build the embeddings. Okay. And finally, search the products. Search the products. So let's text and execute. What happened during this execution? The procedure get embedding was called and made an external call to Azure OpenAI to generate the embedding for the user question, which was this text. And after this, a select was made in the table checking for the vector distance between the embedding result of the user question and the content, the embedding of the product itself. And we can notice the products have relation to graduation party creation, from high school, and so on. Many products have relation to graduation party. So, in this way, we can make a search based on meaning and not based on text anymore. We can make a search based on meaning. Um, Let me improvise. So I'm improvising. Let's see if I have products for that. It brought me grills, camp chair, and some products related to barbecue, to organizing a barbecue. So we are looking for the meaning of the question. We are making a natural language search inside the relational database. We are looking for the meaning and not only for a text content. Okay, and Using the vector search is the first step. I mentioned that we have additional optional steps. Optional steps would be to prepare this content and make a GPT question. Making a question to GPT using this content. It can be done in SQL. We can use SQL to do it, or we can do outside. An external application can get this content and make the question to GPT. Okay. And we can use this previous result. We can use the result that we got from the search as the input for the GPT, as data source for GPT. Then the GPT will make an additional analysis of the product list and you will receive a better explanation how the products fit the purpose, the intended purpose. Uh, we need to convert the product list to JSON. This is the code of the search, but now in the select, I'm using the functions JSON object to transform each resulting row in a JSON object where I'm building in the JSON the information of the resulting product, and then I'm using the JSON array AGJ, one of the new JSON functions which has recent released. So we are transforming the content in JSON, and then I can build the prompt. I need to build the prompt. The prompt for the GPT is a bit more complex. I need to build message, specify message with the role system, the role user, and I can put the result of my query here in the middle. I can concatenate the result of my query in JSON format inside the prompt. That's what the Azure OpenAI service makes internally, and sometimes we don't notice. The Azure OpenAI service search for content located in located in AI search, and then include the content in the prompt. Here we are doing it manually because we decide to use the Azure SQL as vector storage. And we have even some parameters for the GPT model. So highlighting the JSON functions, building the content. And then I make the call using sp invoke external REST endpoint. Not many things different. The URL, the credential, the payload, the output, and then I need to handle the output to extract the meaning from the result of the GPT call. This output will come in JSON format. I need to extract the output. The final touch is to transform this into a store procedure. I can make a store procedure where I can just call get answer, tell the model to be used, and it will get an answer from a GPT model. It will make all the work. It will make the vector search in my database, get the products, build the prompt, send the prompt to a GPT model, and get the answer from the GPT model. Let's see this working. So actually questioning the GPT model so I can get the answer from the GPT model. Help me plan a high school graduation party. Let me execute. Yes. This procedure I didn't create yet. This is the source code of the procedure. I built carefully the system prompt. even because I want the system prompt to give me answers in a specific format. And then I'm calling the generation of the embedding of the question, and then building the system prompt and calling the GPT model. So let's execute to create the procedure. And now let's make the questioning. It's taking longer than usual. Um, Sorry, I would need to debug that. Um, it's taking longer than usual. Unfortunately, some small detail on the formatting caused the failure. I need to adjust the formatting, but this works. I can say that this works. Um, since this example failed, let me give another example just to not say that I couldn't show a working example. I have one ready, and you may be asking why I'm not getting into Power BI. Because inside Power BI we have recently the Fabric databases. Inside Power BI we have the Fabric databases, and I have here a database called vector sample. Okay. Um, Sometimes I change from one GPT, one OpenAI chapter to another. Let's hope the OpenAI chapter is the same. No, there is some small syntax error which I'm not managing to solve at the moment. I'm sorry for that. But the idea is this, and it works. I already executed sometimes. You see here on the screen, it giving the result exactly with the GPT answer. But the core of the session is the vector search in Azure SQL. Here you have the files of this presentation, a walkthrough uh, involving Wikipedia, and a walkthrough involving Walmart. If I'm not mistaken, the Walmart is not fully updated, but you can adapt it to use the Azure SQL vector search. Thank you very much for attending the session. I hope everyone liked the session. And any questions? Anything anyone would like to ask? Anything?
So, checking the comments questions so far. Um, no questions yet. Anders did mention MVP Summit taking up all the AI power. That's a possibility. That may be why it failed because everybody's out here running queries. Um,
Mm.
So, if you have any questions for Dennis, now is a great time to get them in chat. I'll vamp for just a moment to give you the opportunity to get your questions in. In the meantime, I do want to say it was a great presentation. Very interesting seeing this all work in action, and seeing it fit within SQL Server, not having to build out a separate vector database, so not having to use like Weaviate or ChromaDB or another product along those lines. So one thing that I could
Exactly.
ask, actually along these lines, is as you see this maturing in Azure SQL Database and possibly even going on premises in SQL Server, when would you use this versus having a separate vector database product? Are there specific use cases where you would think of like I would rather have these vectors be in SQL database versus in Azure AI Search or in ChromaDB or another product like that?
Well, first, it's interesting to mention that the vector search is very customizable in Azure SQL. There is one detail that I didn't highlight too much, but all my vector search was made using a method called cosim. But I could use dot product as well. It's a different method to calculate the vector distance. And according to I choose one method or another, I can have different results, the results closer to what I need. And this is something important. Besides that, there are other functions like vector norm. So the first point that I'm highlighting is that I have additional possibilities to customize the vector search to improve the capability of the vector search using TSQL. If you want to do this in another environment, you need to train them by embedding model. You usually need to train the embedding model. Here, you can use the methods in the functions and even customize that to improve the result that you get from the data. Another situation that is exactly the example of the Walmart product, exactly the example of the Walmart product where I don't have PDFs. I'm not using actually PDFs or complex files or something like that, but I have records, but these records have a lot of text. There is a lot of text in the records, and the records are directly related to the text. So using the vector search in a relational database help us to search the text and immediately get the relation with the relational record that text belongs to. It may be a text from some feedback from a call center, for example, some Twitter message or something like that. But you have it related to your customer record, to the orders the customer did, and you can make it immediately the relational database.
All right, excellent. Looks like no other questions in chat. Actually, while I was asking my variant of the question, Anders was formulating it almost the same one. So you got 2 for 1 there.
Okay, thank you. I hope everyone liked the session and see you one next time.
All right, thank you again, Dennis. Appreciate it. And as we wrap up for the evening, um, great. Have a chance to give. If you have any follow up questions for Dennis, you can see all the contact information right there. And one last thing, mentioned that SQL Saturdays coming up May 17th. So I'll mention it one more time for anybody who jumped in after we got started. If you are in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, North Carolina area, or even if you're close enough nearby, come check us out May 17th, SQLSaturday.com. That is a free full-day conference. We're going to have a lot of topics all across the data platform space. So come check that out. I'm going to keep promoting this pretty much every session along the way. As far as sessions go, we will be wrapped up for the month, obviously. We're near the end of March. But April, we'll be back with some more sessions. We've got an advanced EBA meeting second Tuesday. We've got the main meeting third Tuesday. We have AI, BI, Power BI, all kinds of data science, all kinds of fun stuff blocked together. That's fourth Tuesday of April, and we'll have a couple episodes of Shop Talk along the way. So plenty of content here at TriPass. And until we see each other at one of these meetings, everybody, take care.
Thank you. Have a great evening.